viewers, and welcome to yet another episode of Wealth Wednesdays. I hope you enjoyed the last episode. I hope you learned something from it. In this episode, we are going to talk and focus more on pensions around the people who are self-employed, people who are in the gig economy, the influencers. We see you, the digital nomads. Stay tuned. Do not miss out. So moving on, Albanas,
Yes.
I just want to know. So for example, I am already in a pension scheme. Yeah, I'm employed. I'm in the occupational pension scheme.
Okay.
Is there a limit to how many pension schemes I can be in? Can I, for example, decide I want to be in a personal pension plan?
All right. Well, when you look at majority of occupational retirement benefit schemes, is is more of contractual between the employee and the employer, and therefore, as an employee, you may refuse to join the pension scheme of the employer, and in that
Wait,
particular case,
wait. You can actually opt out of the pension scheme of the employer.
that is at the point before you join the scheme,
Yeah.
you can choose to opt out.
Okay.
If the contract you have with the employer allows for it,
Yes.
where then you have an option either to join the fund or to opt out of the fund.
Okay.
However, the disadvantage of opting out
Yeah.
is you are missing out should the employer be making contribution or matching
Contribution.
contributions,
Yes.
the employee contributions to the scheme.
Yes.
Because this is more like free money
Yeah.
that you get.
Yeah. On top of your salary.
On top of your salary.
And benefits.
Right, and
Yeah.
therefore, when you decide to opt out, then you are losing out
Yeah.
as a person. And is there an option where you can be able to join a personal pension? Yes, you are allowed to be able to join a personal pension, and the regulation has not placed any restrictions on the number of pension schemes you can actually be a member of.
Yeah.
You can be a member of the occupational scheme provided by your employer, and you can also have a personal pension scheme where you contribute on your own as a member. So we currently do not have any restriction, and as a member, you are free to join as many pension schemes as you can.
Okay. And because human beings, we are nomads. No one stays in one place for a very long time, yeah? So, of course, at some point, you will leave employment or you'll change jobs. What happens to your money at this point?
Well, for majority of Kenyans, is the tradition has been the moment they leave employment or they leave one employer to another employer, pension is their first source of income.
Yeah.
The rules of retirement benefit schemes in Kenya do allow that if you change employment, this is for anyone who has not attained the retirement age. This is 50 years and above. The law allows them to be able to access up to 50% of their total benefits as a cash lump sum, which is discouraged because it's not helping you to be able to meet the objective on why you are contributing in that particular fund in the first place.
Yeah.
However, the law allows it. If you leave employment, you can actually access your money. That is 50 of the total benefits.
Yeah.
That will be paid to you. But again, one thing you need to understand is the taxes are a bit punitive if you have to get your money before attaining the retirement age from a retirement benefit scheme. We do advise, should you want to move your money, if you move to another employer who has a registered retirement benefit scheme, as well, the law allows you to be able to transfer that money to the pension scheme of the new employer, where you can actually continue contributing and continue topping up what you already had from the previous employer. Any member who leaves the service of the sponsor and also the membership of the scheme after the age of retirement, then they will be paid their retirement savings in line with the rules of those particular funds. If it is a provident fund, if it is a pension scheme, they clearly state the rules of access of benefits upon retirement, and therefore your benefits will be paid out in line with the rules of that particular fund.
Okay, so for the people who did not have this information and they didn't know that they could move with their money from one employer to another, and they've been moving. Say, for example, they've changed jobs 5 times. They've left monies everywhere. How then can they consolidate these funds?
If you are moving from one employer to another, you need to instruct the trustees of the former scheme to move the money to the other retirement benefit scheme. This is instruction or maybe forms that you fill as a member to instruct them to move the money. Transferring money between schemes is tax-free.
Yeah.
Should you leave your employer, maybe you are self-employed, you will have the option to move that money to what you call personal pension arrangements. We have a number of personal pension arrangements, and our Enwealth personal pension is actually one of those personal arrangements you can actually consider.
Yeah.
And therefore, as a member, it is important that once you leave employment, is put your money or the retirement savings in one place.
Yes.
If you move to the new employer, move your money to that particular employer or move it to a personal pension scheme, consolidate all that money together. The cases we see in most instances is members change employers, they don't move their money, they don't communicate to their families, and therefore that money in most cases has to be moved. In the event the member passes on, the beneficiaries don't know where to look for this money because you have never consolidated your savings. Then it means then it has to be moved out to unclaimed financial assets. And therefore, as a member, you need to be able to avoid that particular case. Is ensure that you have all your money together or consolidate, communicate to your beneficiaries on where you've been able to maintain your retirement savings.
Is the beneficiary same as next of kin?
Well, so when you talk about beneficiaries and dependents and the next of kin, is all these terms are defined within the rules of specific schemes. If you talk about a dependent, these are people who actually depend on you. And therefore, if I'm not there today, they can actually come and prove that they were actually dependents. And I can give an example is my spouse or my children. Those are my dependents. And therefore, as a member, when I'm filling the nomination of beneficiaries form, I'm able to indicate that these are dependents. They are depending on me. And in the event that I'm not there, then they are entitled to a share of my savings in the scheme. And therefore, the trustees in distribution of those particular benefits will be able to look at the definition of the term dependent and look at the level of dependency as well and be able to distribute benefits in line with the provisions of the trustee deed rule. For the next of kin, these are not dependents. And therefore, you can have, for example, I can actually indicate.
Next of kin is not necessarily a dependent.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And therefore, in this particular case, is if, for example, I'm a person and I've indicated my mother or my father or my sister or my brother as the next of kin, they are not my dependents. They are not depending on me. But these are people that you can actually contact. Okay? These are the people who can actually be engaged in the event that I'm not there. But again, the dependents are the people who have been considered when it comes to the distribution of benefits.
So for the person who just wrote, okay, next of kin, but did not nominate beneficiaries, then it is possible that there will be a dispute if anything were to happen to them?
Well, because this is already very clear within the rules of the scheme, the trustee will be able to look at each case. If you have been indicated as a next of kin, but in real sense you are dependent, then you'll be considered in the distribution of benefits. In a case where you have been indicated as a dependent, but in real sense you are next of kin, then you may not be considered in this particular case. But in this case, the trustees have to look at the definition of the term and therefore be able to distribute benefits to the people who are entitled to get those benefits from the scheme.
If I access the mandated amount, so for example, I've retired, now I've accessed the mandated amount, what do I do with the rest? What are the options that are there for the rest of the money?
Well, I do believe you're talking about the balance, which
the two
is
thirds
the two thirds that has been left. Well, the first thing that we do talk to members, and especially those who are retiring, is you need to be able to make your minds way before you retire how you want to manage your money and which options work for you because again you have to look at the options which are there. You have an annuity. An annuity is these are regular payments that are being made to you from the insurance company in exchange of your lump sum. You also have the other option of an income drawdown arrangement, where then you put your money in an investment fund, and then you are able to draw down your pension in terms of regular payments from that particular investment fund.
Yeah.
And therefore, as a member, you need to be able to understand which options works better for you. Either the annuity option or the income drawdown option. You also need to weigh your risk appetite. Because the risk levels are very different. And in this is a case where you are virtually retired. And as a member, therefore, is even a year before retirement, look at those options, seek clarity from the board of trustees, from the service providers, mostly the administrator, on which options would work much better for you.
Yeah.
And looking at our regulations and provisions of several trust deed and rules, it gives you the option to get your money as an annuity or an income drawdown, where you don't need that risk, and every time you're worried about the performance of the market, then an annuity will be much better for you.
Yeah.
But where you can take some little risk, and then you need to be able to access your money after 10 years as a cash lump sum so that you can do other things with it, then an income drawdown would be a better option for you as a member.
Okay. And in the same scenario, but in this instance, I'm not retired. I've accessed my funds just because I've moved from one employer to the other. Is there a way to catch up later, or are there any remedial actions I can take now once I reach the other employer, or is that it?
Well, for members who are leaving employment or leaving membership of their scheme before they have attained the retirement age,
Yeah.
there are a number of factors that they need to be able to consider before they make that decision to move out their money, and even before they access that money as a lump sum. First is to be able to weigh and see, is there an alternative, and what are the opportunity costs if I choose to access this money right now. Because first of all, you are losing on the income that money is going to generate. And second of all is you are also paying tax, which is actually more punitive if I'm getting that money before the age of 50 years. And therefore, you need to ask yourself, then, am I willing to sacrifice this? If that is not comfortable with you, then you can actually look at the other options that you have. You can actually now access the other savings that you have and leave alone the pension. And therefore, for members, is if I leave employment, then I have to also compare the performance of the two funds. Is it a personal pension, and also where currently your money is sitting? If I choose to move money to the pension fund of the new employer, I have to look at the governance of the new scheme. Okay, I have to look at how is the scheme being governed. You can actually get all this information from the financial statement. You'll be able to see, you can actually now sit with the board of trustees, you can check who the service providers are, and if the returns in the new scheme are actually superior compared to where your money is, then you are advised to be able to move your money. And the governance structures on the other side are much better. You can actually now move your money to that particular scheme. But when the opposite is a case, then you don't need to move that money. Okay? If I look at the personal pension arrangement and I realize in the personal pension arrangement there is better governance, again, there is better returns being offered to members of that particular personal pension plan, then I can actually move that money to the personal pension plan. Should I have accessed some money when I was changing employment, then there is a remedy, because within the personal pension, it allows you to contribute towards increasing your retirement pot. And therefore, is you be able to look at, again, set a target, this is the amount of money I have right now, this is the target I have in my retirement, and therefore I need to be able to start making contributions so that then I can be able to achieve the target that I had set earlier.
Wow, that is a lot to take in. But before we finish, I want to shift focus a little bit to the people who are not in formal employment. Yeah. These are people who are self-employed. Can they also be in a pension scheme?
Well, we do say that pension is retirement is not restricted to the people who are in formal employment.
Yeah.
Even in informal employment, at one point you'll have to retire,
Mm,
and therefore you need to take care of that future.
yes.
And we have different and many solutions for those in the informal sector. We have what we call the personal pension plans, which are very suitable for people in the informal sector.
Yeah.
And they are able to join either as individual, or they can actually come in as a group for them now to be able now to start saving towards
Yeah.
their retirement.
Okay.
So there is no excuse not to save nowadays. All the solutions are there. It is them to be able to organize themselves and start contributing in personal pension arrangements.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, my follow-up question to that is, are there types of retirement saving schemes that they can join, or is it strictly just, personal pension and the like?
Well, is they can actually, because personal pension is more recommended,
Yeah.
and especially for those who are in formal sector.
Mm-hmm.
As well, the authority has been able to make enough effort to ensure that those in the informal sector are able to save for their retirement. We have what we call the Mbao pension plan,
Mm-hmm.
where then the informal sector can contribute as low as 20 shillings.
Yeah.
All right. And
Mm-hmm.
this personal pension, then they actually offer the flexibility required for that group of members, where if I save and maybe after a year I may need to get some money to boost my business, then that is an option which is actually available, as opposed to the occupational
Yeah.
pension plans.
Yeah.
The alternative to this is they can actually come together and form a sort of an umbrella, where they are able now to be able to make this particular contribution, because what they need is a fund which is more flexible and a fund that can actually address their needs as
So,
a
if, for
sector.
example, they are businessmen in a marketplace, they can come together and form a sort of an umbrella pension scheme for
Correct.
themselves.
Correct.
So it is not restricted to you must do a personal pension plan.
It is not restricted. You have an
Yeah.
option to choose either.
And if I'm a small business person, so for example, I have maybe 2 employees who assist me in my business, is it possible for me to do like a pension plan for them? Is it possible to do that?
Well, if you are a caring employer, then you would look at the needs of the people who are working for you today,
Yeah.
so that when they stop working for you in retirement, then they have a better future as well. They have a better life.
Yes.
And in this case, is yes, you can actually allow them to join personal pension arrangements. As an employer, if you are willing to be able to make contributions on their behalf, is you can actually now come in as an umbrella, because you have several umbrella schemes where different employers come together and contribute under one arrangement for
Yeah.
economies of scale. And therefore, if you are an employer with two or few employees, you can actually now be able to join existing umbrella schemes, where then you are able to contribute on behalf of the employees. And
Okay.
that becomes easier. You don't have to go through the hassle of doing the resolution and registration and getting the service providers and having to hold meetings frequently, and AGMs and financial statements. You just join an umbrella. It already has its service
It already
providers,
has
the
the
structures are in
structures.
place. So you just plug in, and then
So
that
it's
particular,
just a matter of remitting the
it is
contributions.
just a matter of now paying the money through the umbrella. You get an excellent service as an employer and also employees. And then in terms of AGM, that will be scheduled. Members will be invited to attend the AGM. They will have access to online platforms
Yeah.
where they can actually be able to track their contributions. And there are professionals who are able to give an advice to the employer, and also to be able to help in governance and investment of their assets.
All right. So
Yeah.
assuming I am self-employed and I'm joining a personal pension plan, and after I've joined this personal pension plan, I want to know more about it. How can I go about that? Is there a way to know who runs it, who's in control? How is my money being invested? Are there AGMs? Are there member educations, like for occupational?
Well, yes, this is a very transparent market,
Yeah.
and all this information is available for anyone who is willing to start saving in a retirement benefit scheme. If I need to be able to understand any or to know if a fund has been registered, I can actually log into the Retirement Benefits Authority website, and it actually provides a listing of all pension funds, personal pension and umbrella pension funds that have already been registered. Should you need to get more information in terms of governance and structure and performance, you can actually ask the provider to be able to give you all that information, and that will be available to you. You can as well go to the website. There's a lot of information on these particular providers and this product being provided, and as a member you are able to access that particular information. Should you need to request for a copy of the financial statement, it is your right as a member. You can ask even before you join that particular fund for you to be able to understand the performance and governance of that particular pension, personal pension or umbrella retirement benefit scheme.
Okay. So with business is volatile. I can start today and decide I'm joining this personal pension plan. I'm going to be contributing 5,000 bob every month. But it reaches a point, probably I experience a few hitches. Maybe the business is not doing as well as I wanted it to do. Is it possible for me to stop and I will restart later? Is it possible for me to also access these accounts as a business person, this fund, sorry, as a business person? Or is it like an insurance where once you've started, you're not expected to stop, and once your money is locked in, that's it?
Well, we did mention about the transparency in the industry.
Yeah.
And therefore, as a member, if you join a personal pension arrangement, first of all, you need to be able to understand the terms and conditions of the personal pension, right? And these terms and conditions, there is a policy document that will be issued to you. You can also have a look at the provisions of the trust deed and rule. However, once a member then joins the personal pension and you're not able to continue contributing, then you are allowed to do so. You can pause in terms of making contributions in that particular fund. Should you wish to be able to draw some money or savings that you've made in that personal pension, then the rules then would allow you to be able to withdraw that money that you've been able to contribute from your savings without any penalties being applied. However, it is critical that also you look at the terms and conditions of individual personal pension plan.
So in short, what you're saying, with personal pension schemes, you have 100% control of your funds and how, what you put in, what you take out. But it's critical that we exercise restraint even as you're doing that. That's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly, because
Yeah.
for this personal pension, it is you who is voluntarily making this contribution. For some, they may put restriction on how much you can actually contribute in a month. And again, for you to be able to agree to those terms before you join the personal pension. And again, as a member, you're in full control of your savings in that particular arrangement. Should you feel that the terms are not favorable for you, you are able to switch to another provider.
Yeah.
Should you feel that the returns being generated in that particular fund are not sustainable enough, you can actually switch to another provider where you can actually get the service that you need as a member.
So I'm sure there's someone who's watching this, who's in business, self-employed, and they're thinking, well, but I can save on my own. I've been saving on my own. Why is pension more important? Why should I move my money from my bank account I've been saving to pension? What's the advantage that I have if I put my money in pension?
Well, if you look at the structures that have been put in place, when it comes to saving in retirement benefit schemes, first of all is you are assured of the security of your savings. Because of how those particular funds are actually being governed. Then the other thing we're looking at, that discipline to be able to continue saving and the returns that you are generating out of retirement benefit schemes. If you look historically, is pension schemes are giving better returns. How if you look at the historical performance of this particular scheme, you are able to get a better return compared to some other investments that you have. And then pension schemes are serving a specific objective. And this objective is a long term. Okay, this is towards your retirement. There are other options where you are able to save. For example, you can look at circles, you can look at money markets. But again, they also serve a different function. They also
Yes.
serve a different purpose.
Yes.
This may not be really long term. Okay, for example, if I'm putting my money in a money market, it may be a short term sort of saving. But in a pension fund, is if I want a long term thing, I think this is the right vehicle for me to be able to put in my money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now we are in a world that is very technologically driven, yeah? So how do you think technology and automation will impact pensions and retirement savings for young people?
Well, I know nowadays is young people want an ease of access of information. Because right now, when you're talking about automation, you're looking at the ease of access of information.
Yeah.
If I want to contribute, I don't need to go to the bank. Okay, I can actually easily pay through the online platforms which are there. If I want to go to access my benefits, I don't need to keep filling forms. I can actually just log in on the platform and be able to apply for me to be able to get my money.
Yeah.
When it comes to decision making, it's becoming much easier to be able to make decisions on investment because you are able to look at your profile, your risk appetite as well when you are joining a personal pension. And therefore, we are able to populate your risk profile and be able to advise on the right vehicle for you to be able to invest in.
Yeah.
And therefore, it makes it easier for people to be able to save, for people to be able to make decisions when it comes to investment, and for people to be able to continue saving and get more information on where they're actually putting their money.
Okay.
So for the young people who are out there, I think right now we don't have an excuse not to save.
Yes.
Is if I want to make a contribution, if I need to open an account, I don't need to go to the provider. I can actually just log in on the website, all the information, the forms are there, fill online, and then I submit. I'm already a member of that particular
Yes.
product.
Yes.
If I need to contribute it, I'm not going to the bank. This is money that I'm just from the phone. I've already paid the money.
Yeah.
I'm getting a notification. If I need a statement, then I'm logging in and the information is there. If I need to be able to see the returns I'm generating, I'm logging in and being able to see how much return have I been able to generate. If I need to do a projection, I can actually do it on that particular platform.
Yes.
So there is no excuse for young people not to save. Okay.
So you've had it here first. The young people in the gig economy, the digital nomads, the young people in their own businesses, you have no excuse not to have a pension. You can literally sign up for one at the comfort of your home. While you're Netflixing and chilling, you can sign up for a pension plan. Am I right, Albanas?
Yes, you are very right.
100% right.
Yes, we are 100% right.
Okay, so now the other question I had is, as the pension scheme is currently constituted, what needs to be improved in the pension system, in the pension industry, to support young people, to support young workers who are joining the pensions?
Well, I think this is more of communication and access to information,
Yeah.
and especially to young people who are joining employment. And again, in terms of having more flexibility in the products that are being developed
Yes.
for retirement savings, because a majority of these young people are looking at maybe I want to work for the next 20 years, and after 20 years, I'm taking early retirement. I don't have to wait until the age of 50. And then how do we make it possible for them? I think this is more of looking at the policies that you already have in place. How then are they? How can we have a review of them to be able to accommodate these young people? We did talk about automation as well. Is then how are we able to automate the process, make it easier for these young people to be able to start saving, make it easier for them to access that particular information. And the industry is doing good in terms of automating the processes, and this then should encourage young people to be able to save more in retirement benefit schemes.
Yeah. So, what would you say about the impact of better healthcare and increasing life expectancy to the pension industry?
Well, looking at the statistics is showing then there is an increased lifespan, and this is due to now better healthcare. Um, and if you look at the impact, is we're talking about people living longer.
Yes.
Okay. What it means, if I retire today, then I can live longer after retirement. And what then that speaks into is then I need to have adequate savings
Yes.
to sustain me after retirement.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm living longer, 20, 30 years after retirement, then that means I need money that can sustain me for that particular period. We are talking about you saving for other, not just the lump sum, not just the money, but also looking at issues to do with your healthcare.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
your medical cover in your retirement, and therefore when you are employed, there are benefits that you're getting from your employer. You may not have that benefit in your retirement, and therefore you need to start planning and putting strategies in place. Once I retire, how am I going to enjoy that benefit in terms of medical cover?
Yes.
So here you're looking at, can I look at how can I get money to sustain me, and how can I address issues to do with medical cover in my retirement. I know there is a whole conversation around owning a home. I think is a very critical thing.
Yes.
And therefore, when you're working as well, you need to be able to think about, where do I want to stay in my retirement? Am I able to own a home when I'm still in employment? Because you're trying to discourage people starting to build houses once they retire.
Yes.
And what they are doing is now they are starting to use their savings to be able to start building homes, which is not advisable, right? And therefore in this is you're going to live longer and therefore save more.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is possible for you to live longer once you've retired, more than the years you lived while you're working.
It is. You can imagine if I retire at the age of 60 and I have to live to 100 or to 90 years.
You're living
That is
40
more than
extra
40 years after retirement. That's a whole life.
Yes.
Okay, and it's actually even longer than the period that I used to work.
Yes.
And therefore, you have to be very intentional on preparing for your retirement.
Yes.
If I'm living longer than the period I worked, then I need to be very well prepared. You can imagine someone who is living for 30 years without an income.
Exactly. Where do
And
you
nowadays,
begin?
this is not the generation you say your children are going to support you.
No, they will not.
As a matter of fact, you retire and they retire with you. Okay.
Yes.
So you have to plan. You have to figure out everything.
Yeah.
Don't depend on your children.
Yes.
They may not come through for you.
Do not be a burden to your children and to the government.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Give us a parting shot, Albanas.
Okay. I want to talk to the young people.
Straight to the camera.
And
yes.
There has been an excuse on why you don't want to save.
Yeah.
For some, they feel like maybe I will never retire, or I may not live long to be able to see that retirement. That is not true. This is the time that you need to prepare for your retirement. This is the time that you need to set something aside to take care of you the moment you get to that particular age where you cannot TikTok, where you cannot now go and start digging to get some money.
Yeah.
If you don't save for your retirement right now, your retirement will have nothing to eat but you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have learned something from our discussion on pension schemes. I hope you have increased your knowledge on matters to do with pensions and how your pensions are being managed. I hope for the people who don't have a pension scheme in place, you have seen the need for you to get one for yourself, and you have also learned what is the best way that you can go about getting a pension scheme for yourself. As usual, remember to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.